while I was on Empire about some of the people in the business. And Petey Pablo, you remember Petey Pablo?
I know who that is.
Petey Pablo, talented writer, singer. Him and Young Buck wrote a song called Ho Is On. And in that song, back in about 2011 or 29 or something, because he called out all of the taking place at those parties and those people, he was kicked out of the music business. No radio station would play his stuff. So you look for Petey Pablo, he's not around anymore. But that song, Ho It's On, they did not care. They went all in on it.
There was a time where I was sipping lean, I was popping pills, I was doing Molly, shrooms, everything. And it was just an escape from me.
I was really tired emotionally, physically, and I was sick, and I didn't realize I was sick, so I had
The last 2 or 3 years which have led up to this album, there's been some really significant change in your life, and the album being called Changes focuses on one.
It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, telling me they love me, and
guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their body.
The glossy music videos, screaming fans, and million-dollar deals might make it look like every young artist lives the dream. But Justin Bieber is here to set the record straight. In a raw and emotional revelation, he's exposing what really happens behind closed doors in the music industry. And it's not pretty. Bieber, once the poster boy of teen pop, is now peeling back the curtain on a toxic system that builds up young male artists just to break them down. He says it bluntly, they ruined me, and they're still doing it to others. From the moment they step into the spotlight, young men in the music world are forced into a dangerous game. They're handed a microphone, but expected to trade their freedom, identity, and sometimes even their morality for a shot at success. Bieber points to artists like Petey Pablo, Usher, and countless others who either fell out of the spotlight or were quietly broken by the same system that once praised them. The pressure to stay relevant, to sell, to fit the image becomes suffocating. If you don't comply, if you don't play the role, you're labeled difficult, shelved, or worse, blackballed. Go along or disappear. That's the unspoken rule. Bieber's own journey is a cautionary tale. Behind his chart-topping hits and millions of followers was a young man struggling with identity, mental health, and the crushing weight of an industry that demands perfection and obedience. And he's not alone. For every young rapper or singer who makes it to the top, there are dozens more who fade away, manipulated, used, and discarded by the very people who promised them the world. This isn't just entertainment, it's exploitation dressed in designer clothes. The stories of artists like Bieber, Petey Pablo, and even Usher, who found success but at what cost, are warnings for the next generation. If you don't give the industry what it wants, it will find a way to silence. The glossy music videos, screaming fans, and million-dollar deals might make it look like every young artist lives the dream. But Justin Bieber is here to set the record straight. In a raw and emotional revelation, he's exposing what really happens behind closed doors in the music industry. And it's not pretty. Bieber, once the poster boy of teen pop, is now peeling back the curtain on a toxic system that builds up young male artists just to break them down. He says it bluntly, they ruined me, and they're still doing it to others. From the moment they step into the spotlight, young men in the music world are forced into a dangerous game. They're handed a microphone, but expected to trade their freedom, identity, and sometimes even their morality for a shot at success. Bieber points to artists like Petey Pablo, Usher, and countless others who either fell out of the spotlight or were quietly broken by the same system that once praised them. The pressure to stay relevant, to sell, to fit the image becomes suffocating. If you don't comply, if you don't play the role, you're labeled difficult, shelved, or worse, blackballed. Go along or disappear. That's the unspoken rule. Bieber's own journey is a cautionary tale. Behind his chart-topping hits and millions of followers was a young man struggling with identity, mental health, and the crushing weight of an industry that demands perfection and obedience. And he's not alone. For every young rapper or singer who makes it to the top, there are dozens more who fade away, manipulated, used, and discarded by the very people who promised them the world. This isn't just entertainment, it's exploitation dressed in designer clothes. The stories of artists like Bieber, Petey Pablo, and even Usher, who found success but at what cost, are warnings for the next generation. If you don't give the industry what it wants, it will find a way to silence you. Now, Bieber is done being silent. He's speaking out, not just for himself, but for everyone who got caught in the machine and never made it out the same. This is more than an expose. It's a wake-up call. The question is, are we ready to listen? For years, Justin Bieber stayed silent. He endured the spotlight, the pressure, and the relentless expectations placed on him as a young artist. While the world watched him grow up on camera, behind the scenes, he was quietly suffering, under the control of an industry that demands total obedience. He was marketed as a golden boy, but the truth was much darker. Now, after years of silence, Bieber is finally speaking out, and he is not alone. What gave him the courage to speak now was not just personal healing. It was seeing others begin to lift the veil and expose the same corrupt system he had been part of since childhood. One of those voices was Terrence Howard, an actor who knows firsthand what it means to be blacklisted, pushed out, and punished for refusing to play along. In a recent interview, Terrence shared a story that hit Justin like a gut punch. Terrence recalled being on set early in his career with Richard Dreyfuss, filming a scene where he tried to make things easier for his co-star by adjusting his position. Dreyfuss stopped everything and called him out. He told him to never let someone take a scene from him, to fight for every frame like his career depended on it. That moment changed Terrence's entire approach to acting. He stopped trying to blend in and started fighting for himself in every room, on every stage, in every scene. But that lesson went beyond acting. It was about survival, about refusing to be made small in an industry that thrives on submission and silence. Terrence went even further, calling out the dark underbelly of the entertainment business. He described how young male artists, especially black men, are often groomed, broken, and silenced through manipulation and threats. The parallels he drew to slavery and the brutal tactic known as breaking the buck were chilling. He explained that this method, once used to strip enslaved men of their pride and identity, is still mirrored today in how powerful gatekeepers emasculate and control rising talent.
You know, there's a short life in
Why do you think that is, what the creative side is?
Well, because losing out money, you got to take drugs. You're going through so much shit to try and deal with life. You are literally, it's an unhealthy space. And so eventually you're going to go too far, you know? Who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what he had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head, you know? But when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things, when you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it.
That message shook something in Justin. He began to see his own story in a new light. The breakdowns, the public shaming, the times he was pushed into the spotlight while silently screaming for help. He realized he had not been crazy or weak. He had been controlled. And, like so many others, the moment he stopped following the rules, the industry turned on him. Now, inspired by Terrence and others, Justin is ready to expose what he and many others have been through. He is not just calling out individuals. He is naming the entire system, a system that builds stars only to break them when they stop being useful.
Next thing you know, you've got somebody's dick up your butt. Yeah, okay.
Hold on. For some Pentagon.
Wait, can you believe some of the people who were at those parties?
Yeah.
Justin Bieber.
Yeah, but he shouldn't have been there at 14, and that's the thing. You know, for somebody to, like, I stand big on maintaining somebody's man card, you know, but if it's taken from you, that don't take away your man card. If some child is raped, it doesn't take away
What is man card meaning?
Your man card is
Sure.
is your integrity, your dignity.
Oh, it's not your butt.
It's your butt.
Oh,
It's your butt.
wait. Is it your integrity or is it your butt?
That is your integrity. That's because that goes to your
Well,
intestines,
I
and that's
mean,
your dignity. 'Cause
okay.
that's what you do.
Well, look, to be clear, my man card has never expired. Okay, so my man card is intact.
You don't have to.
But I don't think that my butt has anything to do with my man card.
But Terrence's story didn't stop there. He also exposed something far darker: the predatory, power-driven system that has operated in the shadows for decades. He spoke on the hidden abuses, the manipulation, the exploitation, particularly of young Black men in the music and entertainment industries. He talked about breaking the buck, the horrifying concept from slavery that is still metaphorically, and sometimes literally, alive in today's music world. According to Terrence, powerful gatekeepers in the industry still try to break the spirit of confident, gifted young men through humiliation, coercion, or exclusion so they can control them.
That was all the people that went to the Puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card, no matter what.
Man, I mean, you know, one of the things you're seeing, you went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything.
That interview didn't just hit viewers, it hit Bieber. Sources close to Justin say watching artists like Terrence and hearing others like Cuba Gooding Jr. and even lesser-known names like Petey Pablo, who were erased after daring to call out what was really happening, he sees it clearly. They didn't just try to manage him, they tried to own him, and he's not alone. The stories are starting to line up about what happens when young male artists don't play the game, or worse, try to speak out. Careers are buried, reputations are shattered, allegations get whispered, music stops being promoted, the lights turn off. It's not just censorship, it's erasure. Justin's decision to speak out now is more than just brave, it's timely. We're at a cultural tipping point where the public is finally ready to hear what's been happening. He's not just telling his story, he's validating the stories of artists like Terrence, like Petey Pablo, like others who risked everything to speak the truth, and were silenced because of it. The music industry may still be powerful, but now, thanks to the courage of those who came before him, Justin Bieber is using his voice to say, "You tried to break me. You failed." One of the most striking examples of how the industry destroys those who speak out is the story of Petey Pablo. Once a rising star, with undeniable talent, charisma, and a string of hits, Petey Pablo should have had a long and successful career, but he disappeared from the mainstream almost overnight. The reason, according to those who know the industry's patterns, was simple. He told the truth. In a song released around 2009 titled "Ho, It's On," Petey Pablo and Young Buck reportedly called out the deeply disturbing behavior they witnessed within the music world. The lyrics exposed the widespread rumors about exploitation, coercion, and the twisted gatekeeping culture that lurks behind the glitz and glamour. Petey Pablo dared to say what everyone else was too afraid to even whisper. And for that, he paid the price. After the release of that track, radio stations stopped playing his music. He was blackballed by labels. Major media outlets stopped covering him. He was not just ignored, he was erased. One moment he was a star, And the next, he was treated like he had never existed. It was a warning to others. Speak out, and you will be next.
Petey Pablo, talented writer, singer, him and Young Buck wrote a song called Ho His Own. And in that song, back in about 2011 or 29 or something, because he called out all of the taking place at those parties and those people, he was kicked out of the music business. No radio station would play his stuff. So you look for Petey Pablo, he's not around anymore. But that song, Ho Its Own, they did not care. They went all in on it.
Look, this is a country of snitches and bitches. And when they want to just disappear you, not to get off on a tangent about how Trump is like literally doing that to people now.
I was all in his corner, and that right there, that hit me. I was like, dude, you can't do that to somebody's family.
No,
you cannot do that. Bring them home.
Well, you just can't send American citizens.
Petey's disappearance was not a failure of talent. It was a punishment, and it followed a pattern that is now impossible to ignore. Artists who refuse to stay silent, who question the abuse, who call out the exploitation are systematically shut out. They are silenced through contracts, blacklisting, public smearing, and in some cases, worse. The industry does not just want control, it demands submission. For Justin Bieber, Petey Pablo's story confirmed what he already suspected. The system does not care how talented you are. It only cares how obedient you are. And when you stop being useful, it knows exactly how to bury you. Now that Justin has found his voice again, he is refusing to let these stories be forgotten. He is speaking for the artists who were broken before they had a chance to rise, for the ones who were manipulated, discarded, or pushed into silence. He knows the risks of speaking out, but he also knows the cost of staying quiet. The industry has a long history of chewing up young men, especially those who come in with fire, confidence, and a refusal to bow down. They call it rebellion. They label it ego. But it is really difficult. And now, Justin Bieber, Terrence Howard, Petey Pablo, and others are showing that resistance can be powerful. This is not just a personal story. It is a movement. And the silence is finally being broken because many other artists are openly talking about the tactics of the industry and moguls such as Puffy and Jay-Z and the lot. Let's talk about the night DaBaby ended up at Diddy's mansion. Yeah, that night in 2020 that he finally brought up in a recent interview. He didn't scream it from the rooftops. He didn't need to. The way he talked about it, nervous, choosing his words real carefully, you could tell something wasn't right. He was clearly holding back, but even what he did say was enough to have fans and insiders raising their eyebrows. And the more you read between the lines, the more you realize DaBaby wasn't just telling a party story. He was sounding an alarm. According to DaBaby, it started out like any other exclusive Hollywood night. A-list names everywhere, Beyonce, Jay-Z, people you only see in magazines and on stages. The vibe was upscale, champagne flowing, designer clothes, music bouncing through the halls, everything you'd expect from a high-level industry gathering. But then, things got weird, fast. As the night wore on, the crowd started thinning. The familiar faces began to disappear, and suddenly, the energy in the house shifted. What was once a party started to feel like something else entirely. DaBaby didn't outright say what was going on, but he didn't have to. You could hear it in his tone. You could feel the uneasiness in the way he told the story. The atmosphere got quiet. Too quiet, it stopped feeling like a celebration and started feeling like a setup. DaBaby said it felt like something unspoken was happening around him. People were looking at him funny. The way Diddy was moving? Office. The whole thing started to feel less like a party and more like a test. He hinted that he was being prepped for whatever came next. And based on everything we've heard about these secret Diddy after parties, what people now call freak-offs, it sounded like DaBaby was being ushered towards something he wanted no part of. The tone, the looks, the private rooms, the select group that stayed behind, it all added up to something that felt less like a hangout and more like an initiation. And Diddy, according to the way DaBaby told it, he was being extra with it, following DaBaby around, standing a little too close, dropping comments that didn't sit right. The energy wasn't friendly, it was invasive. Diddy wasn't just being a host, he was putting DaBaby in a position that felt uncomfortable, maybe even threatening. And DaBaby, to his credit, picked up on it quickly. He didn't make a scene. He didn't snap. But he saw the signs and got out before things went any further. What makes this whole thing even more unsettling is how DaBaby still seemed hesitant to go into full detail. You could tell he was protecting himself. There's an unspoken rule in the industry. What happens at these parties stays at these parties. But DaBaby's story cracked the surface. He saw something that made him uncomfortable. And the way Diddy acted that night, it was enough to set off alarms. This wasn't just another celebrity party gone weird. This was something darker, something that left DaBaby questioning what he had stepped into and what Diddy was really about. And now that the truth is starting to come out, people are realizing that those freak-off rumors weren't just whispers. They were warnings. DaBaby saw too much. And he's finally letting people know without saying everything outright. But make no mistake, he felt the shift. He caught the vibe, and Diddy made him uncomfortable enough to never look at that world the same again. DaBaby didn't just say the vibe was off at Diddy's mansion. He made it clear that once the party shifted into that strange after-hours energy, it wasn't just about being there anymore. It was about playing along. He said he felt like he was being backed into a corner, like he didn't have a choice. Either be part of whatever was going on or risk getting shut out of the circle completely. He didn't name names, but the message was loud. There was pressure, real pressure. The kind that doesn't always come through words, but through looks, gestures, and the energy in the room. He felt like he was being silently told, "You're either with us or you're done." And for a young artist trying to navigate one of the most powerful spaces in the music industry, that's a terrifying position to be in. DaBaby admitted that deep down, he knew what was expected of him. He said it felt like if he didn't go along with it, he would get pushed out just like Petey Pablo. That same quiet blackballing, that silent punishment, that erasure that happens when someone doesn't play the game the way the big names want them to. And let's be real, DaBaby was one of the hottest names in music at the time. For even him to feel that kind of pressure says a lot. But instead of going with the flow, he made a decision. He walked away. He took the risk. He removed himself from the situation, knowing full well that there would be a price. And he was right. He said the energy changed after that. Calls stopped. Opportunities dried up. Industry folks started treating him differently. He was still famous, still charting, but behind the scenes it was obvious. They were trying to shut doors on him. DaBaby said it felt like he was being blackballed, not all at once, but slowly, quietly. The powerful people in the room didn't come out and say it. They didn't need to. They just stopped supporting him the way they used to. And in an industry where access means everything, that kind of silent treatment can be deadly. Still, he didn't fold. He kept grinding, kept putting out music, kept finding ways to stay relevant even as certain doors started closing. And while he didn't give all the details, you could tell he was fighting hard to stay in the game without selling his soul. This wasn't just about one party. It was about a system that tries to trap artists into playing along with things that go way beyond music. And DaBaby saw it for what it was. He saw the setup. He saw what could have happened if he gave in. And even though he paid a price, he made it out. He took the risk. He said no. And in doing so, he gave other young artists permission to do the same. Jaguar Wright has been one of the few voices brave enough to call out the music industry for what it really is. She sees how it preys on young talent. Every year, more than 800,000 artists sign deals worldwide, but only a few hundred actually get any real attention. Maybe 10 of those become superstars. What happens to the other 799,990? They get shuffled off, forgotten, even silenced. Jaguar puts it plainly. She told a room full of hopeful artists during a talk on that blue couch to look them dead in the eye and say to themselves, "Do not second-guess yourself." She was speaking from her heart because she had already seen the heartbreak ahead. She saw how fast energy can shift from promise to pressure. She describes when she went viral on Instagram. Follower counts skyrocketed. People were sharing clips. It started buzzing. Some of it uplifting and some of it sick. That moment should have been joyful, but for her it felt like a siren. Viral fame came with tabloid vultures circling and very little protection. She felt something break, like her dreams were already being claimed by someone else before she even had the chance to own them. The industry she once had hope for quickly revealed its dark underbelly. Jaguar shared story after story from her own grind, throwing out 300 to 500 demos a week, watching promo pictures with the sound of her own voice fade into a trash bin. She spent her own money on studio time, only to be siphoned dry by basement engineers who didn't deliver the goods. but charged like they did. She said she would leave these sessions shaking because of what happened in the dressing room. Not all the danger was financial. She warned that some engineers or gatekeepers in those rooms used their position to grab, make lewd comments, or test boundaries targeting hot young female artists. You had to hope you picked the right person, or it could become a nightmare. Jaguar confirmed that this wouldn't be an anomaly. This was a pattern.
My family was forced to become a liability. And people were used to me walking away. I'm Houdini. Anyone who truly knows me knows that if you see me around for like a year straight, I'm depressed. Something's going on because I've always been on the move. I've always lived in multiple places. I've always world traveled. No one in my life who truly knows me can even say after school that they spent more than 100 days with me in excess. Ever. That's me.
Wait, why are you so remote like that?
Because I understand humanity. I don't want to hate people, so I take breaks. I change my environment. I spend the time that I need. I hang in environments or in, societies or cities that feed my culture. Like, my dream life would have been skipped all this fucking exposure shit, finish launching my own independent company out of France, having my jazz club up and running and booking all of my neo-soul friends who are scrounging for work in America while they get to make a foreign dollar that's worth more than what they're scrounging for in America. That would have been my dream. Going to Saint-Tropez on the weekends, hanging out with Natalie, me and Sarah going down to Montpellier. I would have much preferred all of that shit. I would have much preferred, yacht trips and the shit that I did until I decided I can't fuck with it no more. And then the more I realized, the more I separated myself from that world, I realized I tried every option, every angle, and all roads led back to, you still gotta do money with them, make money with them. And if you gotta do money with them and make money with them, then they still get a say. And if they still get a say, whoever got the most money get the biggest say. And you're just a rat in a maze with no door.
And then there's the story of Bobby Sessions out of Dallas. She shared how he was primed to break as a Def Jam artist, a strong voice in activism and culture. He vanished from the spotlight almost as soon as he signed. Jaguar believes someone with power took him out of the game before he could shake things up too much. And when his name came up again, it was met with silence. She also described how entire pipelines have been built on exploitation, illustratively referencing Coco's healing house. Less of a spiritual sanctuary, more of a recruitment process. Young artists paid just to be seen, just to audition, only to watch promises fall apart. They paid the fee, waited for mentors who wouldn't show, then got ghosted entirely. That's a machine that turns hope into debt. How many similar stories are out there? Jaguar pointed to a 28-year-old who woke up naked after a healing retreat and was told she was safe. Safe from what exactly? Jaguar warned that this isn't community building. It is grooming. It is coercion. And the stories keep piling up. Jaguar laid it all out with sharp clarity. These systems are not broken by accident or incompetence. They are built to trap creatives, designed to take dreams and turn them into deals that favor the other side. The moment you walk away or ask for fairness, you're branded a problem. Doors close, contracts vanish, radio stops playing your songs, press dries up. You become an inconvenient ghost.
It's pathetic. It's a system that's designed to trap you into believing you can't be anything without it. I mean, I don't know how many people I know that have done really compromising shit to get a record deal. And I knew that it was never happening. Wanna know why? Wanna know how I knew those deals was never happening? Because as an intern, I must have, when I would go into the studios and take out the trash, on average, I was throwing away 300 to 500 demos a week. 300 to 500 a week. Not even cracked open. Promo pictures in the trash with it. Now imagine what that looks like for me as an up-and-coming artist, trying to find my way, my niche, and knowing that every moment I got, I'm lucky because I could have been one of those motherfuckers whose shit was in the trash. More importantly, on a few occasions, I probably was and didn't even know it. Now, this is back in the day where you couldn't just pick up your iPhone and get GarageBand. No, we had to put in work.
This is not paranoid or conspiracy theory. This is the lived reality of thousands of young artists, Black, brown, women, men who show up full of raw talent and ambition and leave disillusioned or disappeared. Jaguar, DaBaby, and Petey Pablo are telling us the same story from different angles. The industry is not a meritocracy. It is an extraction model that thrives on hope and punishes authenticity. If you are just starting out, Jaguar's advice is not pessimism, it is power. Recognize the system that wants to own your voice. Protect yourself. Know that they will test you. And if you walk away, you might lose access. But at least you keep your dignity. That is a choice, and it is one Jaguar Wright and many others are fighting to make possible for the next generation. Katt Williams has been also calling out the industry for years now. He's another voice who's been loud, real, and unapologetically honest about the dark underbelly of the entertainment industry, especially when it comes to young Black men trying to make it big. Katt hasn't just hinted at it. He said it straight. The industry doesn't just want talent, it wants submission. It wants to test your loyalty, break your pride, strip you of your identity, and often that comes in the form of those infamous, shady Hollywood parties. You know the ones he's talking about. Not the red carpet events, not the media galas. We're talking about those secretive after-hours parties, the ones behind the scenes, off the books, no cameras allowed. And what happens there? According to Katt, it's not just drinking and networking. These spaces are designed to manipulate and compromise. Young male artists, especially rappers and entertainers, are allegedly pressured to take part in deeply inappropriate sexual acts, many involving older male executives or gatekeepers. These aren't rumors, these are things Katt and others have said they've seen or been approached about firsthand. He described the way these acts are used like initiation rituals. You want that record deal? You want that Netflix special? You want the headlining tour, the magazine covers, the exposure, the radio play? Then there's a price. Not money. Your self-respect, your boundaries, your identity. You might walk into the party as yourself, but you leave it as property. And it's not just about sex. It's about power and control. These powerful figures in the industry don't necessarily care who you are or what you're about. They want to see if you'll bend. They want to know if you're willing to go along with things you'd never agree to under normal circumstances. Because once you do, once you've done something you never thought you would, they own you. Katt's been clear that once you get broken, you might get rewarded with crumbs of success, a hit show here, a single that charts, a flashy red carpet look. But it's not a real success. It's not freedom. It's just enough to keep you hooked, just enough to keep you quiet. And if you speak out, you get labeled difficult, crazy, problematic. Suddenly the offers dry up and you're blackballed. He said that's why you see so many artists start off confident, masculine, full of energy, and over time they lose that spark. They become shells of themselves. They start dressing differently, moving differently, speaking less boldly. It's not just artistic evolution, it's fear, it's trauma, it's survival mode. And Katt isn't just talking to stir things up. He's speaking as someone who's been blackballed himself for refusing to play that game, for refusing to sell himself for fame. He's faced media smear campaigns, arrests, career sabotage, but he never stopped talking. Because what's happening behind those curtains is bigger than fame. It's about how power is used to humiliate, exploit, and erase people unless they conform. So when Katt says the industry is playing a sick game with young artists, he's not being dramatic. He's being honest. And the more people listen to what he and others like Jaguar Wright, DaBaby, and Petey Pablo are saying, the harder it becomes to deny the pattern. This system was built to break you, and only the ones who fight back, who speak up and take the hits, have a shot at breaking it instead. So, what do you think? Comment down below and let us know. If you liked this video, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to be the first to see my next video. I post updates like this every week where I uncover the secrets of your favorite celebrities.